Good evening, the people of Twempala. Good evening, the people of Copper Belt. Good evening, the people of Lusaka. Good evening, the people of Northwestern. Good evening, the people of Chadiza. Good evening, the people of Mansa. Good evening, the people of Chipiri. Good evening, the people of Mwense. Good evening, the people of Kasama. Good evening, the people of Mongo. Good evening, the people of Chinsari. Good evening, the people of Sorese. Good evening, the people of Chipata. And good evening, all the viewers. Today, na lero twaluleta hiyo ni Bakwetu TV. As you know very well, this Bakwetu TV, we work on voluntary basis and we always depend on your stars. For you to send the stars for us, then that's the stars we use to continue providing you with all the much needed updates and analysis on whatever we do. Today, I'm in my field, and that is the pharmaceutical sector. And the one thing that I want to address today is the issue of the 2.2 billion worth of debt that the government of the Republic of Zambia have with the pharmaceutical companies that we locally have in Zambia and some which are international. Leero ngeffe tuliranda twalaleetako issue y'amadetti, issue y'amiti, olw'omuntu lw'amiti. I think everyone who are watching us, they are able to see that the money that we are talking about, 2.2 billion, and what we have been found, or what we have been finding on the ground is opposite with the amount of money that has been mentioned. So I've got one thing or one problem with this amount of money myself. The reason is simple. We know very well that in the previous administration or in the previous government, we had a problem with people who are getting the contracts to supply most of the materials and most or to do with a lot of contracts. And this happened in terms of this also affected the pharmaceutical sector. The PF administration had some sectors which they captured. The road contracts where put their own people. Yeah, sorry for that. We have been the network here is not that stable. I'm using MTN, so we don't have. So the other sector which these people had to capture was the pharmaceutical. The reason. Okay, we have serious network problem. Bazikitania bwanji muchita chani. Since 14 hours there is no network. MTN we are having problems. I don't know about Airtel, but we're having problems. So the sector which they captured again was the pharmaceutical sector. The reason was simple. There is a lot of money that come through the donors in the Ministry of Health, through the pharmaceutical sector. And also the government itself put a lot of money through the pharmaceutical sector. When you go in the hospital, you talk about issues concerning drugs. It is something that everyone is going to get into, and which everyone they are going to buy and make sure that the money are released without questioning. But this is what really happened. You discover that from the 2.2 billion that people are talking about, when we do proper audits to check exactly who supplied those drugs and which companies, and the certificates to indicate that they supplied those drugs, you'll find that most of the companies they'll fall off. When you audit most of the companies they'll fall off because we don't know when they supplied those drugs and how they supplied those drugs and when the contract was given to them. We don't know, but we all know that they have the money, or the government owes them some money. We saw again that in the contracts or the company that were supplying those drugs didn't have pharmaceutical licenses. And as you know very well, when you're supplying drugs, you need to have pharmaceutical license. It is one of the basics that you need to have. But most of the companies that used or that supplied those didn't have pharmaceutical licenses. No wonder you discover that once you check, you'll find that this and this music company, they are the one who supplied these drugs to this company, to the Ministry of Health. this and this construction company, they are the one who supplied this worth the amount of 600 million to the Ministry of Health. How can a construction company, without the pharmaceutical license, supply drugs to the Ministry of Health? Those are some of the issues that are there. And these are the monies that we are owing these so-called suppliers of drugs. 3, you are going to discover that some they supplied air. Vachita supply umwela pye, vachita supply umwela, na abantu basayina to say, oh, we have received this worth this amount of money. Umwela. But when you check, you go look for those commodities, you not find them. Then 4, for you to get a contract, you need to align yourself with the PF. Not that you can supply quality products. No, the thing is, at least there is a PF machinery or a PF individual who's there. That's when they are going to give you a contract to supply the certain commodities to the government. 5, the fifth reason, you need to have, at least you need to give shares to the PF members or to the PF operatives. We saw how about first about 4 or so pharmaceutical companies that manufacture, which are owned by the PF. Then we have about 5 or 6 wholesaling companies that are owned by the staunch PF members. Not only PF members, by the staunch PF operatives. And these are the people who have huge amount of money that the government is owing. And not only huge amount of money, also huge chunk of the 2.2 billion. But when you check exactly, did the drug they supplied, did they meet the international standards? The answer is no. Did they actually supply the drugs? The answer is no. Did they supply quality products? The answer is no. Did they supply air? The answer is yes. But they supply umwela. Nothing. They didn't supply anything, but they supplied air. Now they have they kept those goods with. When they supplied those goods, we don't know up to today. From day one of a year to a but we have no drugs in government institutions, but we are owing 2.2 billion. How can we pay 2.2 billion political party? We're having a serious challenge with the internet. I'm having a serious challenge with the network. Yeah, hopefully it will improve as we go on. How can we pay the 2.2 billion to companies that we know that these were purely for someone who's a vuvuzela for someone? I had a serious challenge with most of these vuvuzelas who were boasting, even to me, to say we are the suppliers, we supply this and this. But look, were those quality products which they made the Zambian people to consume? The answer is no. Where were the professionals? These are some of the issues the new administration government needs to ask. These people claim themselves to say we are professionals. Did they surely certify that quality products were supplied? The past 10 years, especially the last 7 years, we had almost day in, day out recalls of products. Even some products which were recalled, even some products were supposed to be recalled. Zamra had to sit on that because they were scared for their jobs to be fired. which again I questioned some of these institutions. If the individuals there, they mean well for some of these institutions, or they mean well for the people of Zambia. Because if you're a professional, despite whatever the pressure which you need to pass through, you need to maintain and remain professional. No wonder we say, don't say I was working under a difficult government or a brutal regime. No. Why didn't you resign so that you allow other people, or so that you put your integrity and you show professionalism? So some of the people had to help in these debts that we have. How can a company that supplied air, not oxygen, land that didn't supply anything, or the government or that company? That's not possible. How can the company that supplied fake drugs be owed by the government? That's not possible. But these are some of the debts that we are talking about. If you check very well, there are very few companies that supplied quality products to the Ministry of Health. Very, very few from the list of the 2.2 billion. If I'm not mistaken, maybe it is just about the company that supplied maybe about 500,000, 500 million. They are the one that supplied quality product, the Ministry of Health. The remaining supplied substandard products. And these are some of the issues that have been happening in the past, especially 7 years. When you check very well, you discover that the previous administration didn't respect anywhere professionalism. The thing is simple. They wanted people who are non-professional to handle these institutions so that they have no say on what is happening, because they are unprofessional. They cannot withstand the professionalism of a certain office. No wonder when you check very well, we had an act for ZAMSA where they said that anyone can be a director for ZAMSA, which is medical stores. No wonder today, as we are speaking, we have a plumber who's a director at ZAMSA. Where on earth can you do that? When you go check when you go check the hubs, Copper Belt Hub, go check Eastern Hub, go check Lusaka Hub. Who are the directors for this? These people, you find that they are the same. Or the people who are plumbers. They went further to Zamra and destroy Zamra, where they had to make sure that the professionals in Zamra kicked out, and they had to bring in people who are not competent in terms of drugs. And these are veterinary doctors. Why should a veterinary doctor be handling issues of drugs? What do they know about drugs? So those are some of the issues that have been happening. So you have someone who's incompetent at Zamra, you go further and have another incompetent person at ZAMSA, then they supplied and sign and send products into the government institutions. Now, when you go again in these government institutions, they tell the juniors there to say, can you dish out the drugs to the people? We had, if I can be so truthful here, I can say the past 7 years, we had a lot of pharmacists who resigned in civil service. Not that they resigned because they don't want to serve the Zambian people. No, they were very brilliant, excellent professionals, but they are fake products. A lot of them, a lot of young pharmacists, brilliant pharmacists, had to resign because they didn't agree of drugs. So should we say we are owing 2.2 billion? The answer is no. Where are the competent people who should then Yeah, it's like internet is very me big time, but it will not stop me from saying and stating the facts. So how do we say that the 2.2 billion the government need to pay these people? If you add a plumber, how can a plumber say that this drug is a quality drug? That's unacceptable. Sure, how can a plumber say that this is a quality medication? How can a veterinary doctor say that yes, this is a drug and which is up to standard? That is not possible. Where on earth? It's like me, you call me as a pharmacist and you say, go certify the person that this person is dead. How possible is that? How competent am I? It's like you call me as a pharmacist to go say, can you certify that this bridge is fine? How how can I certify a bridge to say the bridge is okay? Well, I'm a pharmacist, I have no competence in that area. These are some of the issues which were happening. Should the government be stressing to pay the 2.2 billion? Only upon justification from some of these companies to confirm that they supplied quality pharmaceutical products. If there are issues with quality, then government should not pay such pharmaceutical companies. And for sure, 80% of those companies that were supplying had serious quality issues. I remember one time I was attending an international forum where I raised an issue to say, I'm having some challenge in my government institutions where we are finding fake drugs in government hospitals. Everyone on the international forum got shocked to say government institution finding a fake drug. We thought like a private can do that, and no, in Zambia it's the government institution. But with all the state machinery, how can how can a fake drug found itself in a government institution? The answer is said we had very poor political power that are prosecuting and persecuting all the professionals who are trying to stand out. And as a result, in Zambia, we are killing a lot of our people through them consuming counterfeit medicine. And it's only in Zambia where you find that 85% of the drugs that are on the market are fake drugs. It's only in this country. You check the standards. If they meet the international standards, those drugs, you discover that they don't meet. Wherever the country they are coming from, they have even failed. The countries where they're coming from, they cannot even certify them to say this drug can be consumed by our people. They will say this drug, since it's not coming to us, you can sell it outside, or some are even smuggled. And these are some of the issues that have been happening in our sector, the pharmaceutical sector. It is high time, and it's high time the people of Zambia now need to take and consume proper drugs, whether in private or in public institutions, especially in public institutions. It is unacceptable for a public institution to dispense fake medications. Vom Kerebai, I've spoken a lot. What is your take?
Good evening, countrymen. Good evening, Bakwetu. Kimanzi bwani sichaba sa Jesus, sichaba sa Vlozi, komu mutwela kaufela, kibusihu. Good evening, my brother Chilufya. Good evening, Jerome. It's quite
don't just say Chilufya. Kwaleba chitaru Chilufya kuno. So just say Patrick
no.
Chilufya.
Yeah, and the topic it's on medication, so Chilufya carries the day. No, I understand exactly your where you're coming from. The pain, I think we share the same disappointment and we share the same pain, especially when we have institutions that we have trusted or that are even that came as a result of an act of parliament, and they are there and we are paying them money as a government. We are spending money to these institutions that are supposed to regulate uh, of any consumption, medical consumption that comes into the country. I don't understand what happened to this Zambian Bureau standards. Are they are they there, or they have been replaced by this Zamra or something like that? I don't know. I need to find out, because it is so disappointing to see that even people that are well enlightened in these areas, or the legal experts, people that have done contract law, business law, the lawyers, in short, you find that they're the ones that were in the forefront, even legalizing, even giving power of attorney documents, signing documents to companies that they know for sure that these companies have never dealt in this kind of business, in supplying of drugs or doing other. But then they just came on, they just created this ghost company. Hence, the for example, the honeybee. You know, we find that people that are knowledgeable people that we go to seek legal advice, they are the ones that are supposed to even protect the government or protect the Zambian people from all these kind of dangers. You know, for that company to have had access to the public, where they had to go and bring in drugs that are now affecting or that have killed, because there's so many people. It's only that in Zambia we don't know so much of our rights. Right now, there were going to be a queue at the hospital, at the courts of law, with lawsuits, civil suits, suing this government, the previous government, even the new government, for professional negligence, or even the Ministry of Land, the Ministry of Health itself. We're going to have so many cases today of people that died, were that died from curable diseases. Women that got pregnant when they thought their men, not even just women, even men, that thought they were protected, but therefore they were supplied with used expired condoms or below par condoms. And these are issues that will create a lot of lawsuits if at all we were to go there. But the problem is, kunya kuzambe twakwataka system out that never boma. It will take time. Why should I waste my time even suing? Nivama lawyers, I don't want to make lawyers rich. You see, so this is where now we find that there's a lot of unfairness in this country. It's like there's an issue of self hate. I don't know why we hate ourselves so much that we would rather go and promote other people, other countries' products, and forgetting our own product, even our own people. We don't want to look at our brothers and sisters, say, let us help them and safeguard them and provide them with well standard medication. And look what is happening. Even in politics, the way our politicians are behaving, it's unheard of. They are busy milking, they are busy siphoning money that is supposed to go to the poor. And what happens? The streets are full of poor people, young men and women who are just finished school. They are failing to go to school because politicians have a lot of money in their pockets. They are keeping all the monies. Instead of the money distributing the money to the rightful owners, but they want to keep things to themselves. So this selfish mentality, this greediness mentality, the self-hate should be done away with. And I think it's high time we Zambians should just move forward and put these people that did wrong things to the Zambian people in the right place, in the rightful place. And that's the prison, or let them be suspended from traveling abroad, let their licenses be revoked, let them not even walk the street because they are a danger. They are a danger to our brothers and sisters, even to our neighboring countries. We don't need people like those. We need people like Kamwini. We don't need people like that in society. They have to be. Why should we go and arrest someone uh, who breaks into a home and leaving somebody that has stolen 60 something million, and you'd rather keep someone who's just breaking into the house to buy himself to get himself food, and then mwashe chikabwana recha even beer 60 something million mwashe tienga no kwenda. What kind of justice is that? So we have a long way to go. Avena Zambia, we have a long way to go. Self hate yena oyo twakwacha sana twaliipata, and it is embedded in our DNA. It is a problem, and we have to do away with that. And if we start thinking about the future, saving for the future, because tulia, everything we get, we put in our pockets, in our bellies. We don't think of our children, their children, our great grandchildren. Now, you are forgetting. That's why you can see people in big ministries who had ministry portfolios. A young girl comes and says, "You are the father." And he goes and says, "Walipenda, ulapenanga uli crazy." What kind of silliness is that? They should lead by example. What example can they lead when we have such kind of people in leadership? Awe. So, what I can say is that I'm just disappointed with our mindset, Zambia. Related to our change. We have well intelligent people that can do much better. And Akainde so far is showing us that he's going there. We don't want him to change. This at this rate he's going, he's doing the right thing. For now.
Okay. Thank you, Von Kirabai. Patrick, what is your say over it?
Yeah, thank you, Jerome. Delivery. Uh, Good evening, Bakwetu. Good evening, viewers. But, but Jerome, the topic that you 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 we are having today makes my heart bleed whenever I hear about it. You know what surprises me about Jerome is we've got statutory bodies, institutions, ZAMLA, Pharmaceutical Association of Zambia. We've got laws and statutes, but then there was no enforcement. But you know why? It was because of corruption. There was no political will. And everything boils down to Edgar Lungu. When you know, the Bible says about Jerome, where there is no vision, the people perish. We had a president who had no vision. And the country, people were dying just like that. You know, there was so much hunger in the country, unemployment, and nobody cared. And HH is right to say there's been a clique of criminals. You know, and then they're jumping now. They are saying he's talking about Chiluba and our president. That's not, you know, if you go and read the definition of a clique, it's a small group of people, obviously, who are benefiting from something, and they don't want anybody to enjoy that. And it's been going on in Zambia. When you look at the PF, it was a clique of criminals. Honeybee. Imagine if that honeybee scandal happened even in South Africa, even Botswana. No, you know, not even far away from home, somebody would be in jail by now. But that shows us that we had no president in the country. The country was run by mafias, the clique of criminals. But Jerome, how can a construction company supply drugs?
Let's play jailbreak.
Just imagine,
Now,
but Emmanuel, is it okay if you
I'm
mute
coming, Bob. I'm coming,
No.
Bob.
Emmanuel, mute yourself, please. Emmanuel, mute yourself. Emmanuel, thank you. You can go on, Patrick. You can go on.
Yeah, but Jerome, a construction company supplying drugs. People who don't have pharmaceutical certificates supplying drugs. And Jerome, somebody described the issue of supplying drugs because but Jerome, you're a pharmacist, and we all know that drugs themselves, even good drugs, they've got side effects. They can even kill somebody. Just hold on, but sorry, but Jerome, about that. Even normal drugs have got side effects. They can even kill somebody. You know, you give somebody penicillin who has side effects to penicillin, they can die. Now, Jerome, giving somebody expired drugs. But Jerome, giving expired drugs, somebody described it as like putting poison in water. And whoever drinks that water will either die or in the long run they will die because obviously they will have, their organs will be affected, they might get cancer. And this is what is happening in Zambia. Some of the effects of those expired drugs won't happen now. And you know who's going to suffer? Us. Because when those effects start coming, there will be diseases that, like cancer, which are very expensive to cure. And then what will happen? There will be more money to be spent curing people. And what shook me about Jerome is this Chitaru Chilufya. Lungu decided to I don't think he was even fired. He just said, you go and step aside so that baleka kupange chongo. You know, and then baleka kupange chongo, I will bring you back. And they adopted him. How do you adopt such a person? PF. So that showed us that this government did not care about Zambians. How do you adopt a person like Chilufya? And had PF won the elections by Jerome, Chilufya would be a minister now. That's how stupid these people were. And I'm not gonna refuse to I'm not, if I can say anything, these people were idiots. Because a normal person, a leader who loves his people cannot fire Chilufya and readopt him again. Because if I was Lungu and I heard that Chilufya actually, I was even going to give an instruction that Chilufya shouldn't even get closer to the nominations. Because this guy, he will tarnish the name of the party. Look at Shimba Kambweni. What kind of politicians are those? Today, he's praising HH, coming to us asking for money, and he's telling them that they are thieves. And then today, HH says a clique of thieves is attacking HH. But Jerome, those kind of politicians, I think we need to come together as Zambians and stop such criminals from becoming president. Just like your friend Sean Botswana Zero. Sean Botswana Zero shouldn't be allowed to get closer to the corridors of power. And but Jerome, I think under the UPND government, I think we need people of integrity to run institutions like ZAMRA, Pharmaceutical Council of Zambia. We need people who've got the political will. We need people who love Zambians. We don't want criminals to run those organizations. And enforcement, by Jerome, I think there is need to improve the enforcement. And also punishment. Because I've noticed, by Jerome, a lot of Zambian laws when it comes to enforcement, like if somebody supplies expired drugs, they shouldn't be even allowed to. That company should be delisted, even from the company's house. What do they call it, Pakra? It shouldn't even get closer there. We need to start punishing people, in terms of fines, because most of these enforcement institutions, there are no fines, by Jerome. So how do people get scared of, how do you deter such things happening again? Because another person is going to supply fake drugs and they will continue and they won't even be jailed.
I get your point. You see, it's very bad and very sad. A month ago, actually, we saw a month or 2 months ago, PF actually under the PF administration they advertised the supply of drugs, the Ministry of Health, and I was shocked. You see, what I was looking to check was where they said that. The people need to supply should first have the pharmaceutical license. But I was shocked that Ministry of Health can advertise the supply of drugs to any companies. And I made some inquiries to ask them to say, why didn't you put a pharmaceutical license to be one of the conditions for a company that is supplying drugs? They said, no, we don't need that. So I was shocked to say, oh, no wonder we have these problems, these people whom we are mandated to look after us. They don't know what they are doing. They're not going to look after us. This is where the big problem is. When you check the just last ended a tender which was floated by Ministry of Health, didn't require anyone with pharmaceutical license to supply those drugs. That is something unacceptable. Then who's going to assure of quality in those products? And as you know these things, no wonder people go to school to study and understand these things. You see, I can give you a tablet. You may think like that tablet has a drug in it. Well, it is just nothing, just powder, just compounded and give you. You may think like, yes, this is the tablet. Look, it's looking white. This is Panadol. But that's not true. It's not. So these are some of the reasons we say you need someone with a pharmaceutical license. Without that pharmaceutical license, someone should not participate in that. If the reason is, if you find that the company supplied fake medications, the license for that pharmacist need to be withdrawn without any negotiation, with immediate effect. The license for that institution needs to be withdrawn and blacklisted with immediate effect. But my shocking is even these fake drugs we saw in the previous administration being given to the Zambian people. No one has ever been blacklisted. No one has ever been suspended in terms of their licenses. They are still operating as job as usual. Well, they reached the 18 million Zambians. Should
even going to prison, Jerome, even going to prison, no one has been sent to prison.
Yes, and when you check today, you find that these companies that supplied fake drugs, they are among the list of companies that's supposed to be paid by the Ministry of Health, by the government, and is part of the debt that today we are talking of 2.2 billion. No. Let's be real here. Let's not be just seeing the government like something we need to be stealing from. Let's verify those pharmaceutical companies. Do they have pharmaceutical licenses? Did they supply correct drugs? those drugs which were recalled, were they resupplied? All those things need to be put in place. But that's not the way it is happening.
But Jerome,
Something.
kunifika hata
Yes,
papa.
Kirabai.
Uh, you were affected when you came out with issues to challenge the government at the time over the. I don't know what you were in trouble. You went in trouble with them, and they. Is it that they even suspended you or something, like you fired you? I don't know what happened. The story behind that. And I don't know, is that could that be the reason why most of these professionals, the professors, the PhD holders that we have, the intellectuals that we have in Zambia today are failing to come out, or they were failing to come out because for fear of being intimidated or being put behind bars? Could this have played the role that these people, they really managed to instill fear in even all these institutions, even in our intellectuals, that we crave for wisdom from them and advice and guidance, because we don't
I,
see them. We never
I
saw
think
them coming forward.
Kirabai, I don't, for me, I don't accept that. If you're a
But
real
why?
professional, if you're a real
Yeah.
professional, you cannot be intimidated by anyone. If me as a professional, I give you a professional advice, you want me pushing me to do something wrong, I'll just pack my file and say, can you keep your job? I leave because I cannot continue be in an institution where issues of being unprofessional, it is being allowed or condoned. No wonder, as a professional, you need to stand, even if you stand alone. But if what you are saying is within the confines of your profession, the advice you have given, it is in the confines of the profession. You should not be even feared of being laughed by other people, or people call you names. Yes, they called me names, they called me all whatever things that are there. They brought money to me, they brought all the things that are there. But did I die? No. You see, the fact which is there is, you need to know. I keep saying, I was trained by the Zambian people, the poor Zambians. That person who sells in the market, the tax they pay, educated me under the government sponsorship, 100% sponsorship. Why should I betray them? So these are some of the issues the professionals are supposed to hold on and keep professionalism up, and they need to stand their heads up. Then they need
It's so.
to listen. But you cannot tell a profession to misbehave and say no because I was working under fear, I was working under duress. No. The fact that you decided to be a professional, you accepted the responsibility that will come with the temptation for you becoming an profession. Imagine if we all tend to be an profession, we would have been killing a lot of people. No wonder we are the gatekeepers. We see things and we stop things. That's my profession. I see fake drugs, I stop fake drugs to protect you who know nothing about drugs. Now imagine if me, the gatekeeper, I just say no problem, take. Then what is my job? What is my role? I'm useless.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
this is
No, I
supposed
agree with you. I agree
to be
with
done.
you.
Imagine engineers tend to be unprofessional and they build a three-story building. Then we have 10,000 people in that three-story building and it falls.
Yeah, they will be
Imagine how
held
many lives
liable.
are going to be killed. A lot. But engineers
Mm.
are to certify and say this is substandard. You cannot call people to occupy this place because they are there as gatekeepers to make sure that they protect the citizens. So that's the same situation which is there.
What is worrying Jeremy is this same tendency of uh, you even know for the fact that this issue It's written in our laws, everything. We have the laws, it's tabulated. But when it goes to institutions that are supposed to interpret, for example, you know what happened? Because they were so called politically, or rather, they were trying to avoid the finger that fed them. They started making decisions going their directions. I'm talking about even institutions such as the judiciary. You can look at their judgments. We are trying to talk. We're talking about corruption, about mismanagement of funds, and about monies that have been, drugs that have been found, people that are taken. They're even taken to court, and guess what? Judgments, they're reversed, bringing back, giving us the same chaps that they know, even them, they are affected. Their children are affected as a result of these things that the very thieves that they are trying to put back in society. Because of silver. They want to protect their so-called contractual obligations, because I was given a contract. So that element, that mindset should actually be done away with. We should do away with it from the judiciary, parliamentarian, the legislatures, and the executive. In all these departments, all these three arms of government, they need to change their mindset. The system is quite compromised, and there's no transparency. There's too much bureaucracy, and people have no clue of what is going on. That's why mule monati baletusta supply ama drugs aya expired tatwaishwe no kubafuma. We don't even know where these companies are coming, where they are mushrooming from. But we have lawyers. That is what pains me. Lawyers that are able to detect problems, legal issues.
I'm not just going to cut you. Since we are meant with 8 minutes, anytime my phone may be off due to batteries extremely low. So I just need to continue until the 1 hour mark. Then
okay.
Yes.
No, I'll thank you. So what is really bugging me is we have the good mind of Zambian with good moral code. They've been sworn in to protect the constitution, to protect the laws. We have the police. We have all these people, these institutions that are supposed to protect the Zambian people. But what do we see? Are they giving us what they were sworn in for? Or they are working against us? It's only this time around when we see this gentleman that has come with the right program, and he wants to now wake everyone up. If you are not professionally handling matters professionally, you will see yourself going. We need people that are going to be result-oriented and are well articulated and understand what they are doing. The appointments, the way everything is just, nobody understands what's going on. If you want to find out how people are appointed, how tenders are won, not even on Google, you can't find it. From Zambian point of view, you can't find it. Everything is under the carpet. Ish, don't talk. Don't you whoever. What is wrong with us? People don't know. That's why we are hiding things. That's why we do things we do wrong things. Because Lyonse, we want to do things discreetly. Even when it's supposed to be public. Even appointments, you have to be appointed on merit. But Mulefa Officer, application, instead of advertising, Mulefa Officer, everything is secretive. From there, that is where you can see that there's something wrong. What is it that we are trying to hide? Fish to Fisa. That's where the click comes in. Birds of same feathers. So we don't want that kind of nonsense anymore. We want things to be done transparently. So I feel that Zambia, we are now heading the right direction with this president and with this new government. We only want to urge them to be open as well. And be careful what you say or what you utter. And be there to your people. Just be available. When you are needed, be there for us. Make everything known to the public. There's nothing like secret, no favoritism. Favoritism is the one that has brought this country to be in the situation that it is today. A lot of huge debts. So we don't want that kind of flamboyant type of life. And please, Wakainde, we want you to come out. Don't hide secrets from us. You are a Zambian, you know a lot. Tell us what you found out. And then let's find a solution together as a country.
Yeah, I think much has been said. The problem we had in Zambia was because of lack of leadership. The last 10 years or so, 7 years mostly, 6, 7 years, under the Lungu regime, it was so bad. That's why some of us, we suspended everything and we went into the battlefield to make sure that this regime is gone. And this regime, the clique of criminals, thieves, and they continued for another 5 years, Zambia was going to be a failed state. No investor, no donor was going to come to Zambia and help us. And it was going to be a disaster. We had a president who never cared about his people. All he cared about was himself. Because if Lungu really cared about corruption, he would have shown us through his deeds. He would have fired a lot of his ministers. But there is no way he was going to fire them because they also knew what he was doing. How can somebody go and buy a wheelbarrow for $1 million? 1980 something wheelbarrow for $1 million. And then that minister is still working, And then when the anti-corruption invites that person, what does Lungu say? You are persecuting me. How can a president say that? So we were in trouble. Zambia was heading towards disaster. Zambia was going to be worse than most of our neighboring countries. We're going to be worse. Corruption became, it was so endemic, became business as usual. The criminals, took over everything. If you go and check seriously at Pakra and all the companies that were supplying in government, you'll be shocked that 95% were backed by a clique of PF cadres, ministers. If you check how many people were employed, because they were firing everybody. Whoever they suspected to be UPND or from the Zambezi provinces, they were fired in all the quasi-government organizations and parastatals. If you go to ZESCO, I've got people working ZESCO, who provides information to me. You go to ZESCO, you'll be shocked how many nieces and brothers and sisters and of former ministers. We don't even have to mention names. They are there.
including musicians who were on the payroll.
Musicians, yeah, but employed at ZESCO. And some of them are even listening.
The musicians.
Yes, we know them. And some of these guys are even making so much noise, but their nieces are working at Zesco.
Jesus.
So yeah, so it's unbelievable. You
How
know,
Mwandini work?
yeah. So all jobs, what they did is what the description of Hakainde was so good because a clique, it's a neat group of people. Nobody will enter that group. And that's how the PF was. You cannot supply the mines. I know friends of mine in Kitwe, I'm from Kitwe, who were supplying the mines. And then when they discovered that they were UPND, they were cut off. Some of them, they wanted even to prosecute them. The moment, so they only wanted somebody in their clique. They wanted money just to be in their clique. So when Akainda Ichilema says a clique of thieves, and then they want to start mentioning President Kaunda.
Innocent.
No. When we say a clique, we are not saying, and these were leaders.
Kaunda.
Yes, they were leaders, but we're not saying Kaunda.
Mm.
Wasn't Chirufetchtalo a leader? Wasn't the minister who bought the wheelbarrows for $1 million each a minister?
Mm. Yeah.
And those are the cliques of thieves. We know them, and they are there, and we are not going to hide. And if PF had continued, they were going to continue stealing in the next 5 years. They were even fencing. We're not going to hide about this. Tasila Lungu, if she wants, she can take me to court. She can sue me the way she has sued Chitambala. Tasila went and fenced a gazetted forest in Eastern Province. Who does that? Just because she's a daughter of a president. If it wasn't for Paji Kaunda to fight, Tasila would have taken that gazetted forest. I don't know what she wanted to put in there. A game reserve? Or a lodge? A game lodge?
Yeah.
So this is the Zambia. People who had nothing 5 years ago, we know them. They were beating up people in Lusaka. Now they are boasting that 2 million kwacha is change.
No, Bachiruta,
Over
you
to
are right.
you, by Emmanuel Ipanga.
Boipanga. Baipanga, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Kimanzi bwana shangwe limbumbo lya mwamba.
Kiruna batate bitumezi mambo bwaliambai kozo. What do you say? What's your take over?
Okay. Good evening, Bachilufya. Thank you.
Good evening, and
good evening, everyone.
Is yours.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I would like to really thank you. This is my second appearance on TVBakwetu. Though I have been a follower for some time now. When we are talking about the supplies of the drugs and the suppliers, according to Mr. Kanyika, the laid down procedures are there going by ZPPA, but the implementers of the ZPPA guidelines are ignored. Then they bring in their thinking to suit the environment, because there are companies which are qualified, which have the necessary documents from necessary regulatory bodies. Because for someone to supply drugs, definitely you need a certificate of recognition from a certain regulatory body which regulates drugs. Because even when you supply, the drugs have to be inspected. I'm a layman, but because I'm in the construction industry, I run a I run a small scale company in construction industry, both buildings and the general roadworks, these small bridges and so forth. I understand these things better. Who should be awarded? Because they always put prerequisite requirements, which each and every person has to understand, has to read the document and to see whether they are able to meet those requirements. But in this case, these PF guys, these thieves, they had to do away with such guidelines and bring in their greedy guidelines of who to give. And what did you expect at the end of the day? They do not care what's that drug for, who should do, where this drug should go, and who will take this. They cared not. It was nothing to them. It was completely nothing. They could not attach the importance, the value of what this particular company should supply to the Ministry of Health. To me, the clique, it's even that word, maybe it's a small word to describe these guys. And the president was very much correct to use that word. And I think we should find the right word, which should describe them properly, so that they keep on going to make noise the way Kambwiri is doing. I had the privilege to listen to the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, today over the Ministry of Transport and whatever. I tell you, there's a mess. The controlling officer could not answer simple questions. Where a company had already expired documents, but it was paid fully, and even after the final payment, this company had to demand interest to say the government delayed in paying them. They were paid $700,000+. Why? Day robbing. Why? Asking the project manager, one of the directors in the ministry, the answer he gave is very disappointing. It was an oversight. Someone who had the contract document on his table, an oversight. Taxpayers' money to become an oversight.
Such terms, those are just terms of trying to avoid being blamed. But anyway, you are right, my brother. You are very right. But let me just cut you there, my brother. Sorry to come in.
Okay. All right.
I want to allow as many contributors as possible so that we could hear as well from their. So I would go to my what is the Meman? Meman, are you there?
Shangwe.
Ani amuzue muchwani.
Rikete lukulami na shangwe.
Bati witumezi kihande.
Kiruna hande. Ensha. Hello. No, we have been following this program, and that was before elections. We are enjoying what these TVBakwetu are giving us. I think this must be my 4th appearance here on this platform. What I can make mention is that Zambia is a great nation. But the biggest problem is that, or the foible that we have as Zambia, is There's so much pretense. And from the understanding that we have is that pretense will never get things done. Now we are happy, we are looking forward to see this new dawn, because we know that the vision carrier, the man who is on the throne now, is a great man. And we know that he knows what he's doing. And we have hope that he will deliver this country and everybody else will be happy. I did write to him, I think 2 months ago. There were 2 documents that I wrote, and these 2 documents actually, I know the way he thinks, and I understood that when I write this, you'll be able to see that we are Zambians, and there are people who think beyond, and they are there to provide answers. So I wrote those 2 documents. Each document was just 3-paged. And I attached a letter there. I think that was in September. And I haven't received any reply here, but what I provided an overview of what is happening in Zambia, where the problem is, and possibly the possible solutions to that issue that we are faced now. Because what we are seeing here is there's a lot of pretense, and most of the companies, they are fake. And what we have in Zambia, we have what we call a stunted knowledge. And it starts from there. Because when you have these institutions that are fake, that are running in the pretext that they are providing service to the people, you realize that people will be getting money, they will be enjoying that, but what you see is that there's zero work done. And Zambians, they believe in less work and more money in their pockets. I wrote a lot of, I gave information that each document, it was just about 2 documents, 3-paged each, to summarize, and that information is key. I took a letter to the State House, attached those 2 documents, and I copied the Vice President. I took it to that office as well. But up to this date, because I was looking for an appointment with the President himself, because I wanted to see him one-on-one, because I have something to offer to him. And once he reads those 2 documents, he will see the way we live, what we have there. And he'll be able to see sense there. Then what we have to give to our country is something else that is yet to be given. And I indicated to them that I'm not a cadre, and I've never been a cadre before. But we are Zambians, and we believe, and we are fighting for this country, and we are happy that we have a new dawn. And this country, this government means well to all of us, and we are happy to have it. But what we are asking for is that those people who receives letter there at the State House and everything, let them not shield that man. Let the people open those letters and provide that, because he's a good man, he's a man of the people. But it's possible that when those things are received by those people there, they are not delivering them. Because I've been waiting, I'm yet to write another one to just a follow-up, because is that issue that I wrote is a very important thing. And I know that if he read those 2 documents, he will see something, that there's something that we are providing. Anyway, I just want to end here.
Batili tumeztate muvulezi hande. Where are you streaming us from?
I'm in Lusaka. I'm Lusaka based.
Oh wow! So you are just home.
Yes.
That's very nice. Go Wallace. Badala Kamwamba.
Yeah, before Wallace comes in, I just wanted to amplify something on what yes. On his follow-up, because I'm sure some people do not mean well. They would always want to block the president. So on his follow-up letter, he should also write something on his page, Facebook page, to say this is what I did, and I wrote some letters or some documents to you on such a date, so that it goes directly to his page, and he will definitely find out.
That's very good. Oh, that's a very good guidance. Vitumez Waipanga. Bawara Sibadara Kamwamba. Kamutambira kamuleta magani badala. Baba Jerome. Mama wawa Jerome wamba magani ya pati maningi ya madrugs ya.
Yeah, Jerome was really clear on the drugs. Can you hear me, Mr. Mkaleva?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Oh, thank you. In the first place, I really recommend the president, to use the word clique of thieves. I absolutely support that, because if I take you back to Lev Mwanawasa, closed the firm for Edgar Lungu because he stole from a widow. And if you follow his friends, lawyers, how they described him when he was coming into court to represent the customers, sometimes he never came because he was every time drunk. So if you follow him, and then Zambian people or Zambian who went to the whatever convent, in PF, they chose him as a president. That was really a big mistake. I concur with it, President Hakainde when he said, be careful how you choose your leaders. I think it's an eye opener for Zambians how we choose our leaders, because that he failed the government, he failed the country to the dust. Because if they won this election in PF, Zambia would have been sold to China. Would go back to the way we were in colonial. So Zambia would have no Zambia at all. So thank God, he got his people out, and then we have HH now, and he's absolutely heading good way. I have no problem what he's saying. He will make mistakes as a human being, but I think the path that he's leading, as you I think definitely he's doing it. He's going. I know he's slow, but he's going a very, very good path. So I'm really, really happy with that. So looking at the drugs that. Pharmaceutical drugs, I mean, a pharmaceutical without a license, without certificate, it shouldn't be used at all. I know Patrick lives in here in UK. That should not be in existence at all. It shouldn't be used at all. But because PF wanted to use that so that they could clink, get the money out of that, because those people, they didn't have any certificate and they would bend with any arrangement the government would say. And that's why they were used. But I thought, now that we have a new government, I thought people like intellectual doctors who worked in hospitals and pharmaceuticals, including Jerome, I thought they would actually sue the government, especially the Minister of Health. I thought this time he should be sued. They could have just come together and sue him for expired drugs, expired condoms, because there were evidence. They worked in hospitals, so they could have sued him for that actually. And Mr. Chilubya should have been actually answering charges in court. But I'm still really, really disappointed with that. But I think as Zambians, it's a lesson learned with the previous government we had. I think we should not really start picking leaders on the tribal lines. We should pick leaders on credibility. Otherwise, we don't want to go back to where we were last year. People like, I will borrow Patrick's words, people like Kambwili, they should not be nearer to the corridor of politics at all. They shouldn't be coming nearer to the corridor of politics. Sean, Zero Sean, what can he tell us? He's actually, he needs to be extradited, to Botswana to go and answer charges. He shouldn't be talking to Zambia as if he's actually a clean man. No, he shouldn't. Such things. So we should actually be, we should be happy and proud of our president at the moment. And if anything, I have a few friends at UTH hospital who are giving me information. I was actually saying, why can't we sue this minister? Because our ladies, our girls, they got pregnant. Some of our relatives, friends, they died because of the expired drugs which became poisonous to them. They were given poisonous medication and they died. Some of them are still actually going attending the hospital. They don't know what is causing it because of those drugs. And at the long run, they will, as Patrick said, they will have cancers with no explanation. They will die with no explanation. But it's because of that. So it's absolutely, it was a disaster government that we had. And when I hear people like, Lusambo talking about, it makes me sick. I feel sick in my stomach, because there is nothing I can listen to, to Lusambo, to be honest. It's absolutely a waste of time. We've been listening to him. It's a waste of time. So thank you very much.
No, badala twalumbaga pati mwamba botu mubulezi hande. Gentlemen, we don't have a lady on this panel. I don't know what happened to Mr. Musha, Dr. Musha. Why we have no ladies on this panel tonight? Why haven't we brought them on? We needed a woman to speak. However, I think let's go around, and we are just remaining with 8 minutes. I would ask each and everyone to say something. I just wanted enough about, we have blamed this government, the previous government so much, and I think we are not going to stop talking about them. We will continue until they come out in public and apologize, and they start showing remorse that they were wrong, they did something terrible. But at the moment, they are not showing any sign. There are no signs of them backing down or showing their remorse or their empathy to the people. They don't show it. They are busy insulting and making all kind of allegations. But what I want to know from you, gentlemen, on the panel is, what advice do you want to give the President Hakainde Hichilema and the new dawn? Just in 2 minutes each, or maybe let's say 1 minute each. Starting with the bomukulu wange bomeman.
Shangwe.
Just a minute, just 1 minute, so we can we only have 7 minutes. What, Hashem?
Anyway, what we can say is that we don't want to see the government backpedaling on what they've started. Yeah, what we want to see is a situation that sanity must be seen in our land. And we want to see a situation that, I know that people are saying that he's not working, he's slow. He's not slow, but he promised people that. We need to make sure that we don't inflict pain on some people who are innocent. It's important that we scrutinize and make sure that we know that when you inflict pain, because a person who has offended must be punished. Yeah, because they did that, they were given an opportunity to save, and they decided to do otherwise. And when you are appointing people the way he's doing now, it's important that he's critical and making sure that the right people are given the positions. And when you just, when you just do it anyhow, the problem will continue. Thank you.
Woipanga, 1 minute, strictly 1 minute. That.
Luitume starte. I think the president has started very well. My advice is that our government spokesperson, she needs to improve, to pull up her socks. There are so many attacks which are coming from all angles, and those attacks we have not heard anyone trying to diffuse those. In politics, once we just let others sound a high tone and it remains up there, then we are done. So please, the government spokesperson should improve to ensure that she's able to diffuse such kind of tones. Then the other advice may be the president. I know people are saying, no, he's not slow. But the truth of the matter, he's slow. He needs to improve to be a steady slowness, a steady one, not the way it is. Because there are so many people who are working to disadvantage his government, particularly those who are still in the system. As you heard last time that the lands minister wanted to do this, and later on, most of the information was deleted. The whole ministry to fail to access the information which they needed. I don't believe that. There's something wrong just because of keeping those people. So the slowness also is contributing. You need to improve to have a steady slowness. Thank you.
Within under a minute, Badara, just to say something to your brother, just under a minute to the brother and the government.
I would want to see actually justice, to prevail in Zambia, because the new dawn is saying is the rule of law. So, but I haven't seen no one is been arrested. Everyone is acquitted. They come, they have a bond, they go to the court. Then they say the fast track. I haven't even seen the fast track what is doing, but no one is being arrested. So I want that justice to be done to people, especially people who were shot. There are a lot of people who were shot in the previous government, but the family really are hating. Now they want to see justice. So no one is being arrested and sentenced. So we need that to be seen. And then the president to encourage the police, because the president stand, the police had been working with the previous government, and what he has introduced, they are not used to it. So I know he may be rushed to do that of which they are struggling to be independent, because they were used to be instructed. So maybe he needed to be encouraging them to make sure, or talk to the Home Affairs Minister to make sure they went through. Thank you.
Bo Patrick, under a minute, you, my brother, just give us a conclusion, and remember to also advise our viewers to send their stars and subscribe to TVBakwetu, and put up the thumbs up for those on YouTube. Thank you so much. You have been such a wonderful people to be with. Your family. We are so happy. So Wachirufia, over to you. Can you conclude for us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Bakwetu family. Thank you so much, our viewers. Our viewers, some of us who have spoken to HH, I've never met HH physically, but I've had so many meetings with him on Zoom. We decided to put our lives aside and make sure that the PF government goes. And I'm proud of that, and I know HH will redeem Zambia. Zambia will be great again. But I should also advise HH. Yes, he's methodical, but he needs to move fast. This time we should have permanent secretaries already. working. They are the most important people in government. They are the chief executives. We need those permanent secretaries to be there. And another advice to HH is that since independence, most of our presidents are surrounded by people who just say yes, 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 and they have destroyed our presidents. HH shouldn't surround yourself with the yes, yes people. Surround yourself with people who should speak to you. When something wrong is happening, they should tell you. When somebody brings a letter to the president, they should give it to you to read, even if it's negative, but they should tell you the truth. I rest my peace. Good night.
Thank you so much. This has been TVBakwetu. Thank you so much, viewers. We are so delighted, and see you next time. I believe tomorrow, when we are expecting to have our resident MP, and our doctor is also coming with us. So thank you so much. It has been a wonderful evening. Good night, and God bless Zambia.